Welcome back. North Fork Bank Pregame Live continues right here on Sportsnet New York, taking you up into the second game of this Giants-Mets doubleheader. We'll continue in a moment, but first, we want to remind you to tune into Geico Sports Night at 10 p.m. here on SNY. Let's check in now with Steve Overmeyer, who has the latest on what the SNY crew is diligently working on for the broadcast.
Yeah, Steve, of course, we'll have much more on the Mets and the Giants as they're getting ready to play Game 2 of their doubleheader. We'll have plenty of post-game reaction from that. We'll also check in with the Yankees as Randy Johnson was on the mound in Baltimore. The big unit was looking to build on that strong outing he had on Monday in Detroit. Could he do it? All that and much more on Geico Sports Night at 10 o'clock. For now, though, back to you, Steve.
All right, Steve, thanks very much. We'll look forward to that. Geico Sports Night coming up after Nissan Postgame Live later tonight here on Sportsnet New York. Now we sort of look back at some of the better moments of this Mets season after their 6-4 loss in the opener of this doubleheader. The Mets tied for the best record in one-run ball games in the major leagues at 16-6, and many of those games have been won in walk-off fashion. Here now, a compilation of some of the Mets' most dramatic moments this year.
And a slider driven in the air, right field. Drifting back the right fielder, Hirita. He makes the catch. Beltran tags, coming down the line. The throw to the plate, not in time as Beltran scores sliding. And the Mets win it in the bottom of the ninth inning, 3-2 on a sacrifice fly by David Wright. The first pitch, slider hit on the ground, back to the mound. Majeski, a high throw, goes into center field. Chavez around third, he'll score. Standing, and the Mets win it.
I hit the ball, I thought I was going to go right up the middle, and he just snared it out of midair. But, we got a break tonight.
1-1 to Delgado. Hit high in the air toward deep left field. May going back toward the wall. It's gone! Carlos Delgado with his hands in the air has won the ball game for the Mets with an opposite field home run.
You just keep battling and keep executing pitches and stay focused and concentrate. And, the will to want to get it done, I think, is very important, too.
To deep left center field. Back goes Andrew, looking up. And it's a base hit to win the game. Beltran scores on the David Wright 400-foot fly ball.
We were down 6-2 late in the ballgame, and to have the kind of confidence that, to not, get down, to not just roll over and let these guys have this one was huge.
2-2 to right. Into the air to center field. Damon going back to the warning track. It's over his head and the Mets win it.
To be able to come through, in the Subway Series against a great team in the Yankees, it's special. It's definitely something that I'm going to remember.
16th inning, 2-2 to Beltran. Ripped in the air to deep right field. Abreu looks up, and we're going home. Beltran with a home run. That's it for the Mets in the bottom of the 16th inning.
Well, only God knows how bad I wanted to get out of here. I really thank God that I was able to come through right there, hit the home run, to go home.
And it's hit to center field. That'll win the game. And that ball is on the warning track. David Wright with his third walk-off hit of the season. And the Mets win it at the bottom of the ninth, 8-7. That's a game winner for Andy Chavez. And the Mets post their 8th walk-off win of the year. Chavez drives home the winner at the bottom of the 13th inning.
What a team effort. Just unbelievable job by everybody. I've said this many times about how proud I am of this team, and I'm going to say it a lot more.
Unfortunately, no dramatic Met comeback this afternoon. They lose the opener of this doubleheader to the Giants 6-4. Time now for the Aqua Velva Aftershave cool under pressure performance. It comes from Giant catcher Eliezer Alfonso, making his major league debut. Sends El Duque yard right over the 358 mark. A 2-run home run. That was the big blow for the Giants in their 5-4 win. Eliezer Alfonso is the man for the Giants today. When we come back here on North Fork Bank Pregame Live, we will wrap it up and get you ready to head back out to Shea. Mets and Giants. Hopefully they can get a split here and we can move on. Mets, Giants, more pregame coming up.
Shea Stadium in New York, we welcome you to New York Mets baseball as the Mets face the San Francisco Giants in the second game of a doubleheader that was necessitated by last night's rainout. And the first one got started about 2.5 hours late because of all the rain we had earlier this afternoon. But thankfully, we have not had a whole lot of rain over the last few hours. So this one's starting a lot later than anticipated. And if you're wondering, let me first introduce myself. I'm Howie Rose. You know Keith Hernandez, and Gary Cohen, who should be sitting here right now, has unfortunately taken ill. He has a touch of appendicitis, and he is being, as we say in the baseball trade, further evaluated as we speak. And the hope is that he won't miss too much time, but thankfully they seem to have caught the problem in time so that they can make a relatively easy repair, and hopefully he'll be back real soon.
Absolutely, and our prayers are, of course, with Gary and his lovely wife, Lynn.
See, this is a radio shirt and a TV jacket, so we're all adjusting on the fly today. No, you're dressed perfectly, as always. And as far as the Mets are concerned, coming back off of the 6-4 first game loss, they've got the ball in the right hands now with Tom Glavine.
Well, Tom Glavine, of course, gets the start on a second game. He's 8-2, and ironically, the last loss that Tom suffered was back in Candlestick Park on the 24th, April 24th, in that road trip on the West Coast. And that was probably his last bad outing. He's been on a roll since then.
It's amazing what Glavine has actually done as the Mets are taking the field. Glavine, as you know by now, has essentially reinvented himself over the last year and a half, and he has been about as effective now as he's ever been. Noah Lowry warming up for the Giants. Back with the first pitch in a moment. Tom Glavine throws the first pitch of game 2 on the inside corner for strike 1 to Randy Wynn, as Tom Glavine makes the start for New York. And the pitch back is foul to the backstop. So no balls and 2 strikes on Randy Wynn, who played the opener in right field and went 1 for 4. Also was hit by a pitch. So Glavine looking for his 9th win of the year and his 284th lifetime. And Wynn, it's one in the air to left center. Cliff Floyd over to make the catch. So a good start for Glavine. 1 away, and now Jason Ellison, the batter. And Keith, with Jason Ellison in the lineup in left field, that means Barry Bonds, who played game 1, will be a spectator, at least to this point, in game 2.
Well, we expected Barry to sit out one of the 2 games, and he got the start in the first game. He's had some back and calf problems. He did not start the last 2 games in that series prior to this series here in New York and Florida. So it's not a surprise that Barry, even if Barry was healthy, I think at his age, that he would be playing 1 game.
1-0 to Jason Ellison, batting at .280 and just 25 at-bats. And that's hit to short. And Reyes throws out Ellison. So quickly 2 men away. And that'll bring up Steve Finley, the center fielder.
Center fielder, number 12, Steve Finley.
Steve Finley's numbers this season. His next home run will be his 300th career home run. And that'll put him in some pretty select company, because that'll make him a 300 player. 300 homers and 300 stolen bases. Only Bobby Bonds, his son Barry, Willie Mays, and Andre Dawson have done it. And Finley rips it to second. Matsui throws him out. And Tom Glavine takes care of the Giants in order. Middle of the first at Shea. Giants nothing. The Mets are coming up. New York Mets baseball on Sportsnet New York is brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. By Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. Jose Reyes butting the first pitch has a kick foul. And so the count 0-1 on Reyes, leading off the bottom of the first against Jamie Wright. Jamie Wright on the year, 3-5 with a 5.07 earned run average. Mets saw him earlier this year when they were in San Francisco. And Wright beat the Mets 6-2 that night, going 7 innings, giving up 5 hits and 2 runs. Wright's been around. He's 31 years of age from Oklahoma City. Pitched the last 2 years with the Colorado Rockies. The second time that they brought him to Denver because of that sinker of his, Keith, that they thought would work well there. The 0-1 to Reyes, lifted in the air. And that sends Jason Ellison back, 1 man away. And again, New York Mets baseball on Sportsnet New York is brought to you by ChevyOffers.com, the presenting sponsor of Baseball Night in New York. Rico, move your ideas forward with Rico dependability. By Honda, see your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. So here's Paul Lo Duca taking outside 1-0. Lo Duca batting at .301. He was in the original lineup for Game 1 this afternoon, and then Willie Randolph switched up. To the right side, Ray Durham gobbles it up, and there are 2 men away. Willie decided to go with Ramon Castro in the opener. He had Lo Duca batting second and Endy Chavez eighth, and then he moved Castro in, and Endy Chavez moved further up in the lineup. And now Carlos Delgado. The .245 average is season low as Delgado went 0 for 4 in the opener. He has just 3 hits in his last 40 at-bats.
Well, he's been in a slump, Howie. There's no question about that. And, you know, the month of April was fabulous for him. His month of May was, the numbers dropped, but it was really the last 3 weeks of May, the second half of May, where he started struggling. But he's still very much a big threat in that lineup, and he's in here for the second ball game. And you know what I always say about good hitters? When they break out, look out. You break out a hot streak. So it's just a matter of time for Carlos.
Here's the 1-0. You know, hard fastball running in, a ball and a strike. Now, you've seen him just about every night. Have you seen anything different about his swing or his approach since he's fallen into the slump?
I've seen no difference in his approach, and there should be no difference other than the fact that he's trying to go more up the middle. He's been out in front, and those are good cuts right there. He hit 1 ball hard at the second baseman today. That was a very good at bat. Those are signs that he's coming back. He's just been out too much in front, and right here this pitch is away, and that is a fine cut right there.
I was talking to him yesterday about a couple of things. The infield is overshifting him again today, and he's tried not to let that get into his head. Taken low 2-2, because one thing he's able to do is take the ball the other way. In fact, Cliff Floyd says he's somewhat envious of Delgado's ability to go the other way, because that's what they have been daring Floyd to do during the period leading up to, well, just recently when he's broken out of his slump.
Well, Cliff started going the other way, and that's what got him out. And Carlos right now, I think it's just the natural course of a season. You see, he's got such a good eye. He normally doesn't swing at bad pitches like that.
So 1-2-3 inning for Jamie Wright, and at the end of 1 here in Game 2, the Giants and Mets are scoreless. Tom Glavine, as well as his Giants counterpart Jamie Wright, have worked perfect first innings, so we move to the second, and it'll be the middle of the Giants batting order. Todd Green, not a guy who would consider necessarily a cleanup hitter, goes after the first pitch. Chris Woodward back a step to put it away. So 4 in a row for Glavine. Green in there with this second game of the doubleheader after Eleazar Alfonso played and had a big hand in winning the opener. And Mike Matheny on the disabled list after being hit twice with foul balls in the head, foul tips over the last few days, and they finally diagnosed a concussion and put him on the DL. So here's Ray Durham, the switch hitting second baseman.
Now the first series, as you look at the starting lineup right there, your Rico starting lineup for the Giants. Randy Wynn, second game playing. Jason Ellison in left today for the Spelling, Barry Bonds. Finley, Todd Green, Durham, Feliz, Lance Necro, and Jose Vizcaino, and of course the pitcher, Jamie Wright. Ray Durham last time, Howie, we were in San Francisco, he was on the disabled list. So the Giants were kind of short-handed in that series. Well, they've got him back.
Durham had a hamstring problem, and Glavine just missed to Ray Durham. The count 1 ball and 2 strikes. Durham played the opener and went 0 for 4 with a walk. A little bit low with a changeup. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, Glavine's May, his 5-win May, was the first 5-win month since August 2000 for Tom.
Right back out over the heart of the plate, and Ray Durham is frozen.
as Tom Glavine works magic with that changeup again.
Well, this is what he's done to right-hand hitters, Howie. He has listened to Rick Peterson, and Rick Peterson wanted him to throw changeups inside to both left and right-hand hitters. And it's been one of the big turnarounds for Tom, and he said he was resistant to change. But, you know, when you struggle, you got to reach in your bag of tricks and try something new, and certainly it's paid off for Tom. He's 8-2 on the season.
All of a sudden, 300 wins are a whole lot more realistic than they might have seemed a year ago. 1 ball, 1 strike now to Pedro Feliz. Feliz in there every game, literally, for the Giants, as he has started every one now of their 55 games this year. Changeup. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That changeup a little further away from the right-hand hitter.
And Feliz was in such a horrible slump the last time the Mets were at Candlestick. I mean, not Candlestick, excuse me, in San Francisco.
You grew up there. You have license.
Yes.
And Feliz rips one to left. Floyd started in. It's over his head. Feliz with a big turn at first, but Floyd played the carom well enough to get it in quickly enough to hold Pedro Feliz to a 2-out single.
Well, I think Pedro thought it was going to be caught here and didn't bust it down the line. And that's a high pitch right here and over the middle of the plate changeup. Stayed back nicely. Floyd got a late break. That was a bullet. So that should have been a double.
So now Lance Niekro, the first baseman, son of Joe, nephew of Phil. David Wright will go the short way, and that takes care of the Giants in the second. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Middle of the second in game 2. No score. Last of the second at Shea, game 2 of a doubleheader. The Giants won the opener 6-4. The Mets will have 4, 5, and 6 in their order to face Jamie Wright with David Wright, no relation, in to lead off. And David had another good game in the opener.
Yes, he certainly did. 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and an RBI.
Low outside. And the Mets starting lineup brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. The newcomers, Chris Woodward, making a rare start. In fact, it's his first in right field. And Kaz Matsui back in the starting lineup. And David takes inside, 2 balls, no strikes.
Well, Howie, you were talking about these. Look at David's numbers for the season. About Jamie Wright, the pitcher, for being his hard sinker ball pitcher. 60% of his outs this year have been via the ground ball. And there's another one.
Right to Vizcaino. And the former Met throws out the current Met. So 1 away, and Cliff Floyd will be next. It's interesting. They're talking about how the humidor now in Denver is starting to really affect, in a positive way, at least as far as the pitchers are concerned, what it's done to the baseball. And, you know, Jamie Wright may be a little too late to reap the benefits, but he's already thrown a couple of ground ball outs in the first inning here as a Giant, or second inning altogether.
Well, as you said, a hard sinker ball, and they liked him in Denver, up in the Rockies, because of the light air, and of course, Coors Field. It doesn't matter what you throw there; the ball's gonna jump out of there.
1-0 to Cliff. 2 balls, no strikes. Floyd in the opener doubled in a run in 4 trips and scored on a wild pitch.
And Cliff has been swinging the bat so much better now. He's out of his month-long April funk.
Rips that one to right, but he got under it, and Randy Wynn puts it away. So 5 in a row now retired by Jamie Wright. And as Chris Woodward comes up, let's take a look at the Giants defensively, brought to you by Ford. Niekro, Durham, Vizcaino rather than Vizquel at short in the second game. Ellison rather than Bonds in left field. And Todd Green doing the catching. We'll get some work behind there now with Matheny on the DL. So here's Woodward.
Well, this has just been really, sorry, Howie. I mean, it's been a shame, but with the weather, because there would have been such enormous crowds here. And this is a game now the Mets, you know, they have to come back and step on it a little bit, and because it's a lot of people went home. There is not a great crowd here because of the weather, of course, being the factor. It's kind of a flat game. Second game, they've really got to strap it on and go get them.
Woodward to short. And Vizcaino took an extra split second to get control of that ball, but Jamie Wright has retired the Mets in order for the second straight inning. So we go to the third at Shea with no score. Tom Glavine goes to work in the third inning against the former Met Jose Vizcaino. And Jose takes on the outside corner. You notice, by the way, Tim McClellan, the home plate umpire, has an almost delayed strike call. And he will wait an extra beat before ringing up a pitch. That one's off the plate anyway. 1 ball and 1 strike. But just when you think a hitter is going to be credited with a ball, McClellan's right hand will go up. That could be aggravating. Vizcaino. Floyd going back for a look, and it's gone. Jose Vizcaino with his first home run of the year. And the Giants jump out to a 1-0 lead here in the third inning. The 6th home run this year that Glavine has allowed. And the first in a little more than 9 months for Jose Vizcaino.
Well, can't take anybody for granted.
Jamie Wright, 0-1.
And here's the pitch, and Tom gets it up and over the middle. Right down the pipe, and it looked like a change. And there's the grip. I think it might have been a fastball. But you see the Castro's glove reaching out over the plate for it. It was up. Vizcaino, a high ball hitter, right-handed.
And he launched that for his first home run of the year, and the Giants jump out to the lead here in the third inning. 1-2 now to the opposing pitcher. And the count even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Now, Vizcaino's had some big hits in his career against the Mets. Most notably, of course, the one that won Game 1 of the World Series back in 2000. That's right to Reyes. And Wright, the pitcher, just jogging down the line. Jose throws him out for the first out. While Randy Wynn gives the pitcher a little time, we'll use it to check in with the Mets defense. Brought to you by Geico. The Kaz Matsui getting the second game of the doubleheader. That's news. And Chris Woodward starting for the first time in right field. Carlos Beltran still on the bench, and Lastings Millage not starting after getting a few straight starts, and Carlos Beltran available to pinch hit. So now Randy Wynn hit a fly ball to left field that was caught to get the game started.
And Randy Wynn has just been struggling against left-hand pitching. 179 on the year against lefties. And that's with 57 at bats right now.
To the right side. And Matsui tosses him out. So 2 away, and Jason Ellison coming up. Ellison grounded to short in the first inning. Glavine allowed a 2-out single to Feliz in the second. And then the home run by Vizcaino here in the third. There's the delayed strike call by McClellan, 0-1.
Very methodical call.
That would drive you nuts as a hitter, too, wouldn't it?
I think it would drive a pitcher nuts too. In a tight situation, on a close pitch that can go either way, and you got the umpire pretty much taking his time making a call. No sense of the dramatic at all.
Fastball missed low. 2-1 to Ellison.
Well, Ellison played 131 games last year for the Giants. Hit 264 and 352 at bats.
Change up the other way, and Delgado takes it to the bag. So Jose Vizcaino took Glavine deep to start the third. And the Giants here in Game 2, after winning the opener, have the early lead. It's 1-0. Jamie Wright has handled the Mets through the first 2 innings, retiring all 6. Now it's Kaz Matsui who takes low. 1 ball, no strikes. Matsui's average down to 210 on the throws of a 4 for 41 slump. And I've certainly seen him lose his everyday job at second base. Holds that one down to first, and Negro takes it to the bag. 1 away. A 7 in a row retired by Wright. Well, now the most advanced traffic information is just a click away with WB11.com's CommuterCast. Get real-time traffic updates on your computer every weekday afternoon at 4. Just log on to WB11.com for CommuterCast. And with 1 away, it'll be Andy Chavez.
Chavez pushed down in the order to the 8th position. Batted second in the first game. Took an 0 for 4 in that first game. A very deliberate motion.
Vizcaino's got to charge this against the speed. That's the only chance, the bare hand play. But Chavez just too fast as the throw pulled Negro off the bag anyway.
Well, the old bleeder here. And the only chance he had was to barehanded. And even if that throw's on line, the speedy Chavez is going to beat it. But nice try by Vizcaino. He's just a solid veteran player.
So we'll see if Glavine is just going to try to bunt the runner Chavez into scoring position and give Reyes a 2-out chance. Tom can handle the bat, though. And obviously has done that very well in the early part of this year.
Well, he'll be bunting here to get Chavez over. I'll be surprised if he swings the bat. And Glavine is such a terrific bunter. Does everything so well. He is the really my 17 years of watching, playing baseball and watching after my career, he's the most consummate professional.
Pulled it back and takes 1-0.
Fields his position. Obviously he can pitch. He's on his way to maybe 300 wins. He just does everything.
Now, we've seen you charge very aggressively against hitters on bunt plays. Would you be any less inclined to do it because Glavine can handle the bat a little bit too?
In this situation, I would be a little less inclined because he handles the bat. The pitchers that could swing the bat, I was not as aggressive. Greg Maddux comes to mind. He swung the bat well. I would never charge so aggressively. And they're veterans, and they can play the butcher boy. The rookies are always going to bunt.
Chavez measures his lead, not a big one. And Glavine misses the bunt. Foul tipped it, actually. And the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Reyes waiting his turn. And believe it or not, we've got a little mist or a light rain beginning to fall right now. They said it was supposed to get better as this day wore on. This is the first precipitation we've had in a few hours. Chavez dives back in.
Well, it's a solid band of rain. I drove in from Sag Harbor, and the eastern Long Island was it was a torrential downpour. And as I gradually got into around exit 40, 35 on the LIE, it started lightening up.
Glavine squares and pulls it back.
This is actually, Howie, you've been around long enough. This is like Candlestick Park weather with the mist. And
we were talking about that on radio during the first game, that it's just San Francisco weather making the Giants feel very much at home.
But it's obviously a lot warmer.
Well, we're not getting the winds of Candlestick anyway.
Or the 40-degree weather, 45-degree temperature.
Chavez diving back in. Would you be inclined, as well as Glavine can swing the bat and make contact, you could play hit and run with Chavez at first and Glavine too, couldn't you?
I would not want to hit and run because he's still basically a pitcher that only hits once every 5th day.
Drops a dandy of a bunt down, and Feliz tosses him out. That was Durham, the second baseman, covering. So the sacrifice worked, and that's the 6th time this year that Glavine has done this to perfection.
Well, just look how he deadens the ball. Here's the delivery. Look at his bat's level. Off towards the end of the barrel where he can deaden the ball. Look at that. They're not gonna throw me out if I was on first base. Or you for that
Sure
matter.
about no. It's a different story altogether. I got some lead weights going on in these pants. Jose Reyes is quite the different story, though. He hit it in the air the first time to Jason Ellison. So 2 away, and the Mets looking to get even. Almost anything to the outfield would score Chavez. And it's 1-0 now to Jose Reyes.
You see Jamie Wright, that 86-mile-an-hour sinker there. Took a little off, tried to get the ground ball. They know that Reyes is an anxious hitter. He can swing at bad pitches.
Towards the Met dugout. And it's a ball and a strike on Jose. Jose has started every game but one at shortstop. Chris Woodward started that one. Woody playing right field today. Been tough for Woody. He's virtually become the 25th man here. Now the 1-1. And that's ripped into right field. Randy Wynn up with it. Chavez around third. And Chavez scores easily. Jose Reyes with an RBI single. And the Mets are all even now, 1-1.
Well, it is a high sinker ball. It's a changeup. See the 4 fingers on the ball. He got it up. It stayed flat. Good hitting by Reyes. And it has to be a perfect throw to get the speedy Chavez. And Reyes' 28th RBI. And you know, you could say all you want. I mean, Jose doesn't get on base enough. If he has to hit to be effective. He drives in runs.
And now Loduca patient enough to let Reyes try to find his way down to second. And thinking right along is Jamie Wright. Loduca grounded to second his first time.
So Glavine doing his job with the sacrifice bunt. Pays off. Helps himself.
We'll see if Reyes takes a crack at second base. He's the league leader in steals. He bluffs. Oh, and Loduca forced off the plate by a high, hard one.
Well, Reyes is always going to get a pitcher's attention at first base. And it's a fastball and put a little too much mustard on it. Not that close, really. Just a fastball that bores in on the right-hand hitter. Reyes is one that doesn't really like to steal on the first pitch. As you see the rain now, the kind of drizzle here. Reyes likes to kind of measure the pitcher before he steals. He very seldom steals on the first from the get-go.
Loduca was running his hand up the barrel of the bat there too, with 2 men out. Not a big lead there, but Reyes running anyway. Taken for a ball, and Jose is in with stolen base number 21. Well, he went from 0 to 60 in no time.
Well, it looked like he lost. Well, you can see Loduca doing what he does so well. He takes the pitch for Reyes to steal. I almost thought when Reyes got his jump, he's kind of slipped on a little bit of the mushy turf. But he is just so fast. Accelerates so quickly.
By his standards, that wasn't even that big a lead, was it?
No.
We've seen him stretch it out a lot farther. So now he's in position to score on a base hit. 1-1 to Loduca. Vizcaino just making some noise behind Reyes. And McClellan with the delayed call. It's 1-2. Carlos Delgado waiting to bust out on deck.
They're shading Loduca a little bit to right in the outfield, and the right fielder out there, Randy Wynn, playing shallow. Well, you can't really call that shallow, but it's certainly not deep, and that's the right thing to do. Loduca's not a power hitter, hits line drives, and he goes that way so naturally.
Reyes bouncing off his second, and it's ripped up the middle. Reyes rounds third. He's coming home. Finley will not make a throw. And the Mets have a 2-1 lead on the RBI single by Paul Loduca. He's such a good 2-strike hitter.
He certainly is a tough strikeout. And there's a sinker he wants to get inside, and he's been getting up with his fastball, Howie, and it doesn't sink when it's up. And there's you see the 2 fingers, the index finger and the middle finger, and you can see it's belt high. A sinker ball pitcher cannot pitch from the belt up. He has to pitch on the knees, from the belt down.
So now Delgado, who struck out his first time. Duca bluffing from first base, drawing the attention of Wright. I would think Carlos Delgado wouldn't want any distractions right about now either.
Well, I would like to think that he'd like that hole over there, but he hasn't got a hole with that shift. As Ray Durham is way over there in that hole, taking that spot away from him.
Carlos was telling me yesterday that what he's been doing to try and break out of this slump is watch some tape from earlier in this year when he was going well, and he's been looking specifically at some games in the San Diego series in late April, and then going into the cage and working based on what he sees.
Well, there's a good cut right there. So he's just been out in front, and he knows that. You can overthink. There's a trying to backdoor slider right there, and he hit it right up at the plate. He's not out in front overcommitting. There's the slider spin, the circle. That is such a good shot. He is slowly working it back, and it just has to run its course. You know, it's interesting, Howie, and I went into slumps. Everybody goes into slumps. Why do you go into slumps? Lou Brock used to say, well, you get mentally tired and physically tired. And you go in a slump, you don't know why, and then when you break out of a slump one day, you hit the ball in the nose, and you're out, and you go on a hot streak, you don't know why. But you just take extra batting practice, and you know that you're out in front, and you're swinging at bad pitches because you're committing yourself too quick, and there's one man right there, David Wright, who goes the other way, particularly with 2 strikes so well, and that's why he's hitting .330. I mean, I wouldn't pitch him away with 2 strikes if you offered me $1 million. Well, maybe I would.
Maybe a little less. Ray Durham waiting on it, and that retires the side. But the Mets, with a couple of 2-out hits, have taken the lead. First it was Reyes and then Loduca, who brought Reyes around from second. And as we go to the 4th, the Mets here in Game 2 have a 2-1 lead. Well, we head to the 4th inning. The Mets in front 2-1. And our Aflac trivia question. Back to your generation. In '86. You know what? This has trick written all over it. Steve Finley takes ball 1 from Tom Glavine.
So it's the first home run off a New York Met.
Barry's first home run against the Mets. Finley pulls it foul. I mean, I think it would be too easy to go with the big boys, the ones you know what? This has like Bruce Bereni or Rick Anderson written all over it. Maybe.
I'll say Dwight. And we all know that Barry Bonds now has 28 career home runs against the Mets.
Steve Finley will not get number 300 there. Matsui backpedaling. Chavez in, and Chavez puts it away. But Glavine now pitching with a 1-run lead here. Retires Finley, and that'll bring up Todd Green.
The catcher, Todd Green.
We'll have that answer for you probably in the bottom half of the inning, by the way.
Yeah. And of course, Willie Stargell is the all-time home run leader versus the Mets at 32. Mike Schmidt at second with 31. And big stretch, Willie McCovey at 29 is in 3rd place.
Here's Green, and he takes the changeup outside. Willie Stargell, in fact, hit the first home run in the history of this ballpark back on the 17th of April of 1964. Chavez, hoping it holds up for him, now comes on and makes the catch. So a couple of fly balls land in Endy's glove, and it'll bring up Ray Durham.
This is second baseman, Ray Durham.
Durham caught looking by Glavine his first time. Thing about a veteran pitcher like Glavine, who's having the success he's having now, he could just shrug off a home run, even though it's got to bite him a bit that it came from the number 8 hitter.
Well, also, too, you've got a pretty good lineup here to score some runs. You're not under the gun to have to pitch a tough ball game like the couple of the lineups the last couple of years. The Mets have struggled offensively. You're forever pitching in tight ball games. This is a lineup that is and has scores runs. If you look at Willie, looks unhappy.
Whatever it is, I think the conversation probably preceded the pitch before. I don't think it had anything to do with the call of Tim McClellan, but Jerry Manuel's not taking it all that seriously. Way out in front is Durham, 2-2.
Well, a very good change right there by Glavine. You see the radar going at 79. Low and away, and look at the fingers there, the 3 fingers, the circle change. Out in front.
Got him. So Glavine picks up his 2nd strikeout. The Giants go in order. That's 6 in a row now for Glavine, as the Mets have given him a 1-run lead. Well, they seem to be in sync on the mound. Glavine and LaDuca, and Rick Peterson right in the middle, just offering his assistance.
Well, this is one thing I've noticed on this ball club that's been such a difference and such a positive. Is much more interaction on the bench, on the field and off the field.
David Wright takes low.
There's much more communication, much more players into it and bouncing off ideas. I think it's just terrific.
And a breaking ball for a strike, 1-1. Well, I know that as far as communication goes, you talk to the players and they'll tell you just about across the board that is Willie Randolph's strongest suit. That's the thing they talk about first with Willie. 2 balls, 1 strike now to David Wright. And it obviously filters down through the rest of the staff.
Well, Willie is a winner. He has played on championship teams.
Wright rips one into right center. Hustling over is Wynn. David with a big turn as Wynn fires it in. And David Wright is 1 for 2, and he had quite a first game as well.
Well, he went 3 for 4 in the first game with 2 doubles, and here's his first at-bat with 2 strikes. Off the wall down the right field line, and this one right down the line for another double, and then a curveball with 2 strikes again that drove in a run. So he had himself a big first game, and there's that smile. He's off to a fantastic doubleheader right here. 4 for 6.
So now it's Floyd who flied to right his first time. Overthrown by Wright, 1-0.
I always wanted to play doubleheaders, and I always felt.
I know why, because you wanted those off days.
Well, the doubleheaders, I always went in with the attitude that I had a chance to get 5 hits. You know, I just really pushed hard the first game. Had a chance to go 5, 6 for 8. That was always my feeling.
So how'd you do in doubleheaders?
I always did well in doubleheaders.
So you got your 5 hits.
It was not. When you played 2 games, you were tired when it was over, but you really got into it. When you got on the road, you might get 10 at bats. It was wonderful.
And you still got that day off somewhere along the line too. You get enough doubleheaders in, you got some free time. Time called at home plate.
Well, when Dave Magadan was my backup here, and Dave, of course, a left-hand hitter and a very good one, I would be a doubleheader, and I'd tell Davey. Davey would say, well, I want to play Magadan and give him some time. I go, fine. It'd be a left-hander pitching. I'd say, hit me against the left-hander, let him hit against the right-hander.
That's magnanimous of you.
Well, I liked hitting off lefties, you know that, and Dave did too. But when Dave first came up,
but you were looking out for him.
He wasn't facing any left-handers off the bench. He was pitch hitting primarily against right-handers.
I'm convinced that Davey never forgave Dave Magadan for not being Keith Hernandez. He was tough on him. He was tough on Magadan. After you left? Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
The 1-0 to Floyd through the hole. And the Mets have something cooking here in the 4th. Wright pulls in at second. Runners at first and second, nobody out. Let's go to that Aflac trivia question. You don't think this thing has Rick Anderson or Bruce Bereni or someone you wouldn't associate with the big boys written all over it?
I'll say Duck.
I'll say Bereni just for the heck of it.
RJ.
So there was a hook, though.
Yeah, it's our broadcasting
exactly.
partner. You'll be probably be doing a few games in L.A. with Ronnie. We'll see.
So you'll be off, huh?
I don't go to L.A. or Arizona. I picked you guys up in Philly, and I will miss everybody.
You don't like
immensely.
you don't like the 100+ degree temperatures we're going to see in Phoenix?
Oh, I like Phoenix. I like that hotel we stay in.
So come out and join us.
Oh, okay. Don't hold your breath, Howie.
Curveball to Woodward inside 1-0. That's all you need when you're not getting a whole lot of at-bats, right?
Well, it was a hanging curveball right there. I mean, the Giants are playing for a bunt here, and this is the second game of a doubleheader here. The Mets have lost the first game. Woodward has been spot playing, and you have to. It's a possibility that Willie might bunt here and make it second and third, with Matsui and Chavez coming up behind. Try to get a bigger lead going here. This is a must-win for the Mets.
And Woody pops it up near the screen. Over comes Green, but it's beyond his reach. So 1-1 on Chris Woodward. Kaz trying to get straightened out, waiting his turn. Think about Maggin and I was starting to say, when Dave made any kind of mistake defensively, but Davey, who did not often criticize his players publicly, he'd come down on Maggin. There was one play where there was a broken bat. It ended the game. I think it was in St. Louis in the early 90s. I forget who was hitting for the Cardinals, but he broke his bat, and the barrel of the bat almost killed Maggin. And the ball was probably beyond Dave's reach, but it went for the game-winning hit, and Davey blamed it on Maggin, who was only trying to survive. Tough love, huh?
Davey could be tough.
1-1 to Woodward, and a little pop-up. Durham back, and they'll put the infield fly rule on. So Woodward unable to advance the runners. Kaz Matsui will be next.
You see the batting average down to 208, and it's just been a struggle for Kaz. And you recall his return to the lineup with his first at bat, another home run, 3 years in a row.
Inside the park this time.
And it is I think he's just lost his confidence. And he's played much better defensively at second base.
And David Wright not going anywhere. But you're right. I think the most confounding part of this whole thing with Matsui is that defensively he's playing better now than he has at any time since becoming a Met.
Well, give him a little bit of a break. He's a shortstop, and he was moved over to second base, much as Reyes was moved over to second base, if you recall. And it's an entirely different position. It's a much more difficult double play situation, and you can see here talking about double plays. Jamie Wright with that hard sinker, as this has induced the second most amount of double plays in Major League Baseball.
Kaz has good speed. He'll be running from the left side, and Wright's got to dive back in. Vizcaino slipped in behind David. Timing play.
Well, if you always just take your lead and be firmly planted so you can move in either direction, you shouldn't get picked off. It's when you start getting cute and bouncing around, that's when you get picked off.
Here's the 1-0. Changeup miss, 2 balls, no strikes. Mr. Mitt's been here the whole day.
That's why they pay him the big bucks.
That's right. That coconut is as smooth as ever. Not a bit waterlogged. It'll be a 2-0 to Kaz. And it's upstairs, 3-0. Before the game, we showed you Noah Lowry throwing in the bullpen for the Giants. He's back in their rotation now. He had been on the disabled list until the early part of May. He was tuning up for his next start in all likelihood. But everybody's pitching is a little messed up because of the rainout. 3-1 to Kaz. Mets actually have a decision to make on a pitcher for Wednesday now. And Tom Glavine, who's pitching this one, has already volunteered to take the ball on 3 days rest. So Willie is going to watch very carefully and manage Glavine's pitch count. If in fact that's what he decides to do, run him out there on Wednesday.
Well, they don't want to make a roster move.
full count now to Matsui.
And if they don't make a roster move, then it would probably, if they decide not to throw Glavine on 3 days rest, it would be Oliver. And Oliver threw one today, which would be a tune-up. I think a lot has to do with how this doubleheader goes. I mean, if Willie had a doubleheader where he taxed his bullpen and had to use Oliver deep, then it would make the decision for him.
Matsui waiting on a payoff pitch with one out. The runners go. It's softly but foul. So the runners will come back. Still 3-2 to Kaz as Willie trying to stay out of the double play against the sinker baller. Bet that Kaz would make contact, and he did. You would guess they'd be running again. 3-2.
Well, Glavine, with all this rain and the off day, is pitching on the 7th day. And then his last outing was down in Florida on Saturday, and he said in the papers that he would prefer to pitch on 3 days rest as opposed to on the 7th day.
Runners take their leads with one out on 3-2. They were running the first time. They're running again. And Jamie Wright will have to go to first, and by sending the runners, and probably kept the Mets out of a double play, although the ball was hit slowly, and it would have undoubtedly been a close play at first. So now what will the Giants do? Will they just put Chavez on and go after Glavine to try and end the inning? Or will they leave it up to Endy Chavez?
I believe I just saw Felipe Lu's signal for the intentional pass. And you got to be careful with Glavine. Glavine's hitting .353 on the season. And there's Felipe, one of my favorite players as a kid growing up in San Francisco. What a fine player he was, with a great arm, fine defensive right fielder. When they traded him, I think they traded him to Milwaukee for Del Crandall and a left-hand pitcher named Bob Henley, I think.
Yeah, pitched briefly for the Mets.
Right.
You'd know that from Stratomatic.
Absolutely. Since I played the '64 National League twice.
Did you get the Phillies in either time?
Neither.
You and Gene Mauch.
Not even close. They weren't even close.
Well, now Glavine is going to try and do something to pad his lead here. He sacrificed perfectly in the 3rd inning, and that helped build both Met runs, because he pushed Chavez up to second with 2 out. Reyes singled him home. Then Reyes stole second, and LaDuca singled Reyes in. First pitch. And McClellan rings it up, 0-1.
Wright's a very, pardon the pun, upright pitcher. He pitches very deliberately, and look how he's like a beanpole.
And he missed the outside corner there. 1-1 to Glavine.
He's a big 6'6", 235-pounder. Big kid, Oklahoma City guy. Born in Oklahoma City.
And it's strike 2. Again, that delayed call by Tim McClellan, drawing the ire of some of the fans. So they've got Wright at 3rd, Floyd at 2nd, and Endy Chavez, the fastest of the bunch, on first base with 2 out. Wright working from the stretch with the bases loaded, finishes off Glavine. And the Mets are done in the 4th inning. For Wright, his 2nd strikeout. The Mets leave him loaded. We go to the 5th, 2-1 New York. And on the 7th day, Tom Glavine pitched after the long layoff between starts. As we mentioned before, volunteering to take the ball on Wednesday on short rest. So, you know, Willie said he'll, if he comes to that mindset, manage Glavine's pitch count accordingly in this game. But Tom certainly has been strong. He's allowed only 2 hits. A single to Pedro Feliz, as well as a homer to Vizcaino, and this is Feliz leading off the 5th. And he goes first ball hitting. Jose Reyes throws him out, and on 1 pitch. And Glavine very economical, Keith. That was only his 42nd pitch of the game. So 1 out here in the 5th inning. And as we mentioned, it's been a long day. The first game was supposed to have started at 1:25. That started about 2.5 hours late because of rain. And Chris Cotter has found some fans who have been here for the entire day.
Hey, Howie, I certainly have. You know, big crowds were expected all weekend long, and certainly for the day game today, Saturday game. The weather kind of put a damper on it, but not for these fans here. I'm here with Bill and Emily from Roseland, New Jersey, and Julie and Tom also from New Jersey. Now, they got here about 3 o'clock this afternoon as Necro sends one to center field. Chavez will corral for out number 2 on the inning. And then these two guys over here, Andrew and Eddie from West Orange, New Jersey, got here at noon today, and I guess they figured we're as wet as we're going to be, so it doesn't even matter. So enjoying the game regardless of the weather, guys.
I like that. We're as wet as we're going to be, so what the heck. But things have worked out as far as the elements are concerned until about the last half hour when this mist began to come down. Well, here's the guy who put the Giants on the board in the 3rd. Vizcaino behind now, no balls and 1 strike.
There's Barry.
His presence will loom even larger even from the bench as this game evolves.
You know, getting back to that point about the Glavine willing to pitch on 3 days rest in Los Angeles. A lot depends on the bullpen. The bullpen was not taxed in the opening game. You had Oliver threw an inning, Feliciano threw an inning, and Bradford threw an inning. Did not use Heilman or Sanchez. Heath Bell is plenty rested. If Glavine can go deep here, then your bullpen escapes. Because it's been tough on the bullpen this year because number one, pitchers don't. And there's no such thing as a complete game anymore. But the Mets have played so many extra inning games where they've had to go deep into that bullpen.
And that is ball 4 to Vizcaino. So Glavine understandably unhappy there about walking the number 8 hitter, because now at least the Giants will be able to clear their lineup as the pitcher Jamie Wright will bat. But Vizcaino did a Bonds his last time up. Vizcaino now talking it over with Delgado.
And you're right that Glavine is upset with himself. Now Jamie Wright does not hits this inning obviously and does not lead off the next inning. Glavine will have to face top of the order. It's so critical. It's one of those things that you don't read in the box score as your 8th hitter. So critical to work your way on base to get the hitter up, to get top of the order for the next inning. Ozzie Smith was the best at that in my 17 years before Ozzie became the hitter he was. I remember when Ozzie first came up, he was a .230 hitter. He and Larry Bowa were 2 guys that really made themselves into terrific hitters. But Ozzie was basically the 8th hitter in that lineup the first 2 years he came over, and did such a terrific job at working a walk, getting a base hit with 2 outs, get the pitcher up so we had top of the order the next inning.
You know, there's a guy on the Giants bench right now who's done something very similar over the course of his career, and that's Omar Vizquel. Off the glove of Delgado to Matsui, and that retires the side. So Wright hit it well, but the Mets alert defensively. No runs, no hits, a 2-out walk, and 1 left. We've come halfway here in game 2. It's 2-1 New York.
Steve Berthiaume with their Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. The Yankees in Baltimore 5-5 in the 10th. Johnny Damon off Chris Ray. This turned out to be the winning run for the Yankees. 6-5, they win over the Orioles. Dodgers and Phillies out in L.A. Johnny Damon, just to reemphasize, homers in the 10th, and the Yankees, we can confirm, do beat the Orioles, the 6-5. Back to Shea, Howie, and Keith.
Well, Tom Glavine doesn't look as happy as some guys who would be carrying a 2-1 lead onto the mound for his next inning, which would be his 6th. And I think maybe, Keith, some of that still stems from having walked Vizcaino with 2 out in the top half of the 5th.
Well, he's such a perfectionist, Tom, that yes, he'd be up. It would not surprise me if he's upset with himself.
Reyes went first ball hitting, and Vizcaino throws him out, 1 away. Our Hyundai in-game box score, you look up at the top and you see how the Mets have scored their 2 runs, and they were both 2-out hits in the 3rd inning. All set up by that Glavine bunt.
Absolutely. Tom Glavine, of course, we talked about it, one of the best bunters in the game, if not the best.
So now LaDuca and that's on the outside corner. Duca singled in the go-ahead run in the third. His average still over 300. And Delgado waiting on deck. Slider away, and that evens the count to Paul DeDuca. See that rain getting a little heavier right now in the background.
It's still kind of a mist, a light drizzle.
Moving in is Finley, the center fielder. Wynn, the right fielder, and Randy Wynn makes the catch. And there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning, and now Delgado coming up again.
And Delgado still mired in that slump. You see his average down to 242.
Well, you can get to Shea the easy way. Take the train to the game. The Long Island Railroad from Penn Station or Woodside stops right at Shea, and the number 7 subway conveniently serves Times Square and Grand Central's Metro North trains. Mass Transit's easier and faster. Get on board at Mets.com. 1-0 to Carlos. And I said to him yesterday, you look fairly calm and confident considering the slump. He says, oh, don't get me wrong. Breaking ball, and it's 1-1. He said, there are a lot of times I feel like killing someone, but going to jail is worse.
Well, he's been through slumps before, and he's an established veteran. He knows he's going to break out.
Durham behind Niekro, who ranged far to his right, and a good job by the pitcher Jamie Wright to get over. He stacked that right side of the diamond, and again Carlos Delgado retired. Mets go in order, and we head to the 6th inning at Shea. Mets in front. Glavine and the Mets leading the Giants 2-1 here in game 2 of the doubleheader after the Giants won the opener 6-4. Top of the order, Randy Wynn shoots one off to the right. No balls, 1 strike. It'll be Wynn, Jason Ellison, and Steve Finley for the Giants here in the 6th inning.
And we were talking earlier, Wynn has struggled against left-handers, hitting well under 200 against lefties. 297 against right-handers.
Glavine misses upstairs, 1-1. Came in on Wynn, and the pop-up will land near the Mets dugout. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes on a player who was traded for a manager. Remember, Randy Wynn was in Tampa Bay when the Devil Rays wanted Lou Piniella, and the Mariners would not allow the Devil Rays to sign Piniella unless they received compensation, and there's the compensation. Deep to left, down the line. If it's fair, it's gone, and this game is tied up. Randy Wynn has evened this game up 2-2. The 2nd home run of the game off of Glavine, and for Wynn, his 6th home run of the year. Like a changeup that was up.
It was a changeup. It just had too much of the plate. He wants it inside.
Well, not up, down.
It's down and a little out over the plate. So much for hitting on the interstate against left-handers.
Outside to Jason Ellison.
And you see right there the ball's down, but had over the middle too much, and the ball did not hook. So the Giants are back in this ball game.
Another changeup away. So solo homers, Vizcaino and Wynn. Not the guys necessarily in the Giants lineup that you would expect to beat you with long balls. Giants now with 3 hits, and 2 of them left the yard. Duca gives it a try, but beyond his reach.
And Glavine this year, in coming into the game, the 73 innings pitched, had only given up 5 home runs. So Tom is really back into his old groove. You know, obviously the sinker ball pitcher keeps the ball on the ground. So a bit surprising here, but hey, that's why they play the games.
Giants have Bonds on the bench, Moises Alou on the disabled list, and the 2-1 right back through the middle. And Jason Ellison has his first hit. And the Giants' fourth. So Steve Finley will be next. We want to remind you that during this 2006 season, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York are teaming up to strike out cancer. For every K the Mets pitching staff registers, Hyundai, the Mets, and Sportsnet New York will donate $25 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. 2 so far in this game, both times Ray Durham. But now we're into the middle of the Giants batting order, and Steve Finley, who's 0 for 2. 0-1.
Well, you're talking about Finley, one shy of 300 home runs. And when he first came up with Houston, I never would have figured he would even hit 100 home runs. He was just a skinny blade of a hitter, could fly, and was a line drive hitter. Probably the best thing that happened to Finley was getting out of that dome, the Astrodome, of course, the biggest ballpark in baseball back then, and you can see the rain coming down a little bit harder.
Short lead at first. They've got him picked off. Now Reyes running him back. And Delgado won't even need to tag him as Ellison leaves the baseline voluntarily. So that takes care of Ellison, 1 man away.
Well, watch Delgado cuts the angle down by going to get the ball. Now he could close down here. Watch him close. Perfect. That is perfect fundamentals on a rundown. 2 throws, it's over. Well done.
So Delgado didn't even have to apply a tag. And now Finley takes the changeup low and away.
Well, Finley has not hit a home run in 80 at-bats against Tom Glavine. So he's got his work cut out of him if he wants to get 300 off Tom.
Finley victimized right there by that late call by McClellan. Steve Finley was in the process of flipping the bat away and starting down to first base, but McClellan took that extra beat before signaling strike 1. On the inside corner. Glavine going with his fastball there to run it full on Steve Finley.
Well, inside corner fastball right here, right to the glove.
And the payoff pitch. Rip, but foul. Finley got out in front, so it's still full. Glavine with a very good pitch count here. 67 pitches with 1 out in the 6th inning. That's what we were talking about before. That's some solid company for Finley's next homer.
He's had himself quite a career.
Bobby Bonds, you know, growing up in San Francisco, had that unfortunate label placed on him of being the next Willie Mays. Bonds had a good career. And that goes through the hole on the left side. So the pickoff really has come in handy for the Mets here, because that's 3 straight hits now off of Glavine to start this 6th inning. A homer by Wynn. Ellison eventually erased, and now Finley aboard for Todd Green.
And just nice 2-strike hitting by Finley. Going the other way, level swing.
So now Todd Green making his 10th start behind the plate this year for the Giants, with Mike Matheny on the disabled list. Outside with a fastball. Green flied to right, flied to center. Looking down to third base coach Gene Glenn to see if anything's on. Right down the middle, and the count 1-1. Green, when he has started, has been very productive as a hitter, as Gene Glenn relays the signs. 13 for 34, including the 0 for 2 in this game in games that he started. Not in front there. That changeup away.
Well, Glavine's a tough guy to steal off of, too. It's a change up there. See the circle change? The index finger on the inside of the ball. Glavine's so quick home that he's very difficult to steal off of. As you can see, the wind is kind of, whatever little bit there is kind of blowing in from center.
That's lined over Matsui's head. Chavez hustles to play it in the gap, but Finley will go first to third. And the Giants now with 4 straight hits here in the 6th inning off of Glavine. And they've got runners at the corners with 1 out in a tie game.
Well, this is good hitting again. Ahead in the count, 1-2. Fastball down and away. He just was going that way. That's just good hitting right there. It's not a bad pitch.
And Rick Peterson now will head out to Glavine. Nothing happening yet in the Mets bullpen. See a little milling around going on down there, so it would not be surprising if someone gets up shortly. But again, Glavine's pitch count is not alarming at all. 73 pitches, 1 out in the 6th inning.
Yeah, but he's given up 4 straight hits.
Right.
4 balls that were hit hard. A home run, of course, to lead off the inning by Wynn. And Ellison hit a bullet up the middle and got picked off. And Finley and Green have hit 2 rockets.
So now Durham, and Glavine has struck him out twice with Pedro Feliz on deck. Mets will look for 2 at short and second with Reyes and Matsui at double play depth. And Durham takes low, 1-0.
Well, Arizona is just beating the tar out of Atlanta in that 2nd game. 8-2 in the 6th. Arizona won the 1st game 4-2, so Atlanta's in danger of getting swept at home.
Fastball. It's a little bit tight, 2-0. Yeah, John Smoltz lost the opener. John Thompson started the 2nd game for Atlanta. The Phillies losing to the Dodgers this afternoon, 8-2. The Mets, even with their 1st game loss, haven't lost any ground at all. Here's the 2-0, and it's ripped, picked by Reyes. There's one. Matsui to first, double play. And Glavine gets out of further difficulty. And the Giants settle for 1 run on 4 hits. Nice pick by Reyes to start the double play. And it keeps this game tied 2-2.
David Wright leading off the bottom of the 6th inning here at Shea Stadium. We're all tied at 2, the Giants and the Mets, along with Keith and Howie. I'm Chris Cotter. Now, the rain is starting to come down here. It was misting pretty much all game long. Now it's turned into rain. But I got to give credit to Bill Deacon and his entire grounds crew here for keeping this field in playable shape. I mean, it's been raining for really the last 36 hours, chewed up all day long, yet you can still go out there and play, and it looks like it's in pretty good shape, Howie and Keith.
Those guys have been tested severely all year, huh, Keith?
They do a terrific job.
1-1 to David Wright.
And as we said a couple broadcasts ago during the heavy rains when it was rained out, is that the grounds crew gets a full share, a World Series share, a playoff share, exactly because of this.
Slider away. And the count 2-1 to David. Those guys have a thankless job at times, carting out all that diamond dry when they need to apply it around the dirt portions.
Hey, when the game's over, their job's not done. They got to cover the field. When the start of the day, the next day, they got to mow the lawn, they got to water it, they got to do all this stuff. The one good thing the Mets did was invest in that irrigation, not the irrigation system, the drainage system out in the outfield. Because this was built on landfill, correct?
You want to hear a great story about the drainage here? The origin, this is right from Bob Mant, who used to do just about everything at one time or another in this organization. Originally, this was going to be a bigger park. Bouncing ball foul off of Wright. So the count now full. The dimensions were going to be deeper. And so when they put the original drainage in here, they did it with the expectations that it would be 430 or so feet to center field. Well, then shortly before the ballpark opened, they decided to tighten it up a little bit. So the area behind the outfield fence had great drainage. Pulled on the ground to Vizcaino. And on to first, 1 away. But very often the outfield would be a quagmire until they revamp the drainage issues. Well, This is the Mets home run inning, brought to you by Amtrak Acela Express. If the Mets hit a home run, one grand prize winner will receive a trip anywhere in the Northeast with Amtrak Acela Express. To enter or to see if you are a contestant, visit sny.tv/Amtrak today. Well, the field now drains so much better than it used to. Track will get you wherever you're going. Floyd 1 for 2. Pulls that one foul.
Well, right field was the big problem out there. I know Rusty, my good friend Mr. Rusty Staub, who happens to be in Napa right now in the wine country, said that right field was just, when it rained out there, you can forget it.
Be a lot of standing water. And now Wright delivers 0-1. Game set there, and it's 0-2.
Well, they can play in this rain. It's not raining enough hard enough to call this. And they're going to try to get this game in, trust me. The day game tomorrow.
Yeah, Steve Traxel and Matt Morris, the scheduled pitchers tomorrow. Change up outside.
And it's been a struggle for Matt Morris this season, hasn't his ERA's over 5?
Yeah, they were saying yesterday that he's been fighting a bit of the flu bug as well. I don't know whether that would make his start susceptible to change tomorrow. Here's the 1-2, and Cliff fouls it back this way.
Well, it's coming down harder there. It always looks like it's raining harder on television, but it's a good steady little soft rain here.
That's annoying. We have seen about enough of that stuff over the last couple of days.
It's amazing.
And Floyd out in front.
Well, we were talking, both of us, Howie, how our drive home on the LIE the other night, when the game was called, that we hardly had it. Once we got on the LIE, it was hard. There was no traffic. No one on Friday from Manhattan. They got stuck in Manhattan. Now they said, I am not driving out to the Hamptons.
And Floyd called out on strikes. That sinking fastball from Jamie Wright. And that is the 3rd strikeout for Wright. 2 men away, and on the Jeep upcoming schedule, 1 more on the homestand, and then out to Los Angeles. And the Mets' lone visit of the year to Dodger Stadium. All 10 o'clock starts Eastern time. Here's Chris Woodward. He hits that one well to right center. Finley on the run, going way back, and he makes a running catch. Outstanding play by the veteran center fielder Steve Finley to take an extra base hit away from Woodward. The Mets go in order. On to the 7th. Tie game.
Steve Berthiaume with a Chevrolet Baseball Night in New York update. The Phillies lost in L.A. today. The Braves hosting Arizona tonight and losing as well. Top 4. Eric Burns, a 3-run home run, his 10th of the year. Diamondbacks took a 6-0 lead. Back to Howie and Keith at Shea. It's now 8-2 Arizona.
All right, Steve, and if that holds up, then the Braves will have lost a doubleheader. Well, the Mets are playing the back end of this doubleheader, and the Phillies have already lost. When play started today, the Mets had a 5-game lead in the National League East over both the Phillies and the Braves. So Glavine, who has allowed 2 solo homers accounting for the Giants' runs, will work to Pedro Feliz, and they're getting down towards the bottom of the order, and so Mr. Bonds is ready with bat in hand and gloves on said hands. Pitcher spot due up 4th here in the 7th inning. And Feliz takes on the outside corner, 0-1. Pedro singled to left and grounded to short. And Jamie Wright, full marks to him, limiting the Mets to 2 runs on 5 hits. That's a strike. And quickly it's 0-2 on Feliz.
Well, you notice the last inning that Glavine got hurt away. And he gave up 4 straight base hits. There he came inside.
Went away there. And it's 1-2.
This is like shades of the late 70s here, Howie at Shea.
Got him. So Feliz down on strikes, and Glavine has his third strikeout. Mets games are available in high-definition quality across various cable providers, including Time Warner Cable and IO Digital Cable Service by Cablevision. Get the Mets in HD. I'm glad you're with us this Saturday night. Lance Niekro 0 for 2. And he takes the changeup on the outside corner, 0-1. You used to love coming in here, didn't you, in the late 70s when there were maybe 3,500 people in here at game time?
Oh, and you had to find ways to get up for a game.
Niekro takes outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. 79 was the low point, and then the ownership changed and the seats changed color here in the ballpark, and the place started to look better. Right back to Glavine, that nice easy follow through. Perfect position, and there were 2 men away. So here's Vizcaino, and it's time now for the Coors Light Cold Blast. Just over the left field fence into the bullpen under drier conditions than we have right now. That was leading off the 3rd inning. Right back through the middle, and Vizcaino 2 for 2 with a walk now. Let's see what Felipe Alou does here. He's going to stay with his pitcher, Jamie Wright.
And rightly so. That's a bullet up the middle right there. And Vizcaino again does the thing, one thing an 8th hitter is supposed to do, or wants to do, is get that pitcher up and top of the order the next inning. And that would be the 8th, of course.
Jamie Wright's pitched 5 hit ball through 6. And with Bonds holding that bat in the dugout, he'll continue to be a spectator for a while. And Matsui throws out the barely running right, and that takes care of the Giants in the 7th. 1 hit, 1 left. Time to stretch here at Shea. Game 2 of a double dip. All even, 2-2. Game 2 here is tied as we go to the last of the 7th, and on the Toyota National League scoreboard, the Mets getting some help from the Arizona Diamondbacks, who could be on their way to a doubleheader sweep. The Dodgers have already beaten the Phillies, and the Cubs defeating the Cardinals. Reds with Griffey going deep, taking care of Houston. Pittsburgh in front of San Diego. Milwaukee leading Washington, and the Marlins with a big lead in Denver halfway through. Well, here's Matsui leading off the 7th, and he bunts through it, 0-1. Bottom 3rd for the Mets. Matsui, Chavez, and we'll see about Glavine because the Mets have the bullpen up. Well, Glavine may be done after 7. Here's the 0-1 in the air. Jason Ellison towards the line, 1 away. So Kaz 0 for 3 here in game 2. Let's check in once again with Chris Cotter. Chris?
I tell you what, guys, these fans down here that have stayed around, I mean, not only are they great Mets fans, but they're just humanitarian. Look at this rain thing that they gave me to put on. They said this was the hood, so I put it on like so, and you know what? It's been a real help. And they gave me this muddy T-shirt as well. They're really looking out for me down here.
Are you ready for extra innings?
You know, the guy said it actually looks better than that sausage costume I wore, and I would agree with him.
Jason Ellison handles the fly ball from Chavez, 2 men away. That was a costume he was wearing in Milwaukee, right? He was one of the sausages in the great sausage race. And as I remember, a very weak showing on the part of Cotter.
Finished 3rd out of 4, so no bronze.
Now is he going to keep the poncho? Jose Valentin will bat for Glavine. So Tom Glavine's work is done, as the Mets have Aaron Heilman throwing in the bullpen. Aaron loosening up. 1-0 now to Valentin. Jose had started at second base 5 straight games before this one, and the count 2-0 on Jose. One of the reasons that he feels he's been more productive lately, apart from the obvious, which is the extra playing time, is that he's not wearing that knee brace he had to wear last year. Foul straight back, 2-1. He got banged up badly, ripped ligaments in his knee in a collision with Brian Schneider of the Washington Nationals And when he came back, he had to wear a brace that he found rather restrictive. And he's a lot more comfortable now. Here's the 2-1.
Well, he's been a terrific acquisition, and Willie Randolph and the Mets front office showed patience with him. He got off that miserable start in April, and he has been extremely productive.
Sends one hard down to third, but Feliz throws him out. And the Mets go quickly once again. So that's 10 in a row now. Retired by Jamie Wright. Glavine's work is done. They'll have to take a no decision into the clubhouse. We're going to go to the 8th. Hey, have you logged on to WB11.com lately? It is the place for weather info. A planning forecast that won't leave you all wet. Allergy alerts and Mr. G's 5-day forecast. You'll find it 24/7 at WB11.com. And Aaron Heilman comes on to take over the pitching as Glavine leaves after 7 innings, allowing 7 hits and 2 runs. And now Heilman in his 24th appearance. And he will face the top of the Giants batting order here, Randy Wynn, who hit a home run to left field, which tied the game in the 6th inning. And that's why Glavine now will not be able to win number 284 lifetime in this game. So Randy Wynn 1 out of 3. And Heilman, who has shown an ability to give the Mets multiple innings in relief.
He's been struggling of late.
Through the middle, but Reyes picks it off. Good play, Jose Reyes, 1 away. And that'll bring up Jason Ellison. You may now be eligible for New York City's nicotine patch program. Limited supply. Call 311 now. Isn't it time you quit smoking? Jason Ellison singled in that 6th inning. One of 4 straight hits the Giants had against Glavine to start that inning, but then Ellison got himself picked off. And he takes the fastball for a strike. It's 0-1. After Ellison, it's Steve Finley. And the 0-1 right to David Wright. And Delgado digs out the low throw, 2 men away. And Heilman throws 2 quick ground balls. And now Finley.
The center fielder, Steve Finley.
Finley has 1 out of 3. He had a single in that 6th inning. A lot of Met fans think of Steve Finley with all the great plays he's made defensively in his career. They think of one catch he did not make.
Off the bat of Todd Pratt.
That's it. Won the division series against the Diamondbacks back in 1999. Now the 0-1. And the changeup away. 1 ball, 1 strike on Finley. Jamie Wright has been outstanding. He's retired the last 10. Giving the Giants a chance to get that game-tying home run in the 6th from Wynn. And Finley rips 1 into the seats. Everybody all right. Now the chase is on. And it's 1-2. I mentioned Heilman can give you multiple innings. He hasn't worked since Monday. What he's done in relief, especially with all these extra inning games the Mets have played, really fortifies the decision to keep him in the bullpen. Fastball. And the count 2-2. I mean, the depth that Rick Peterson and Willie Randolph have out there, in my opinion anyway, makes Heilman in the bullpen clearly the best option for the Mets, even with the problems they've had at the back end with injuries.
I agree with you 100%.
That's hit well to right center. Chavez on the run. He'll get there. And on the track, Indy Chavez puts it away. So Heilman makes quick work of the Giants in the 8th. Back to work for Jamie Wright against the top of the Mets batting order in this doubleheader, game 2. Be at Shea tomorrow for the conclusion of this big series against the Giants. That's tomorrow afternoon And after the road trip, the Mets return home for an interleague matchup against the Baltimore Orioles June 16th, 17th, and 18th. For tickets, get to Mets.com now. All right, a tie game, bottom of the 8th inning, top of the order for the Mets, and Reyes takes ball 1. Reyes, Loduca, Delgado to try and snap this tie against Jamie Wright, who's retired 10 in a row. Feliz in very tight at third. And Jose takes a strike on the inside corner. It's 1-1.
Wind picking up here, a little chilly.
Candlestick east.
The flag is starting to blow a little bit.
Now the 1-1. And that missed low. 2 balls and 1 strike to Reyes.
That flag has been limp this whole game, and now it's starting to pick up a little bit.
Did you look at those flags or the ones on top of the building?
I looked at the flag, the center field
center
flags.
field?
Yes.
And a sinker low, 3-1. Because Todd Hundley always said he would look at the flags up on top of the lights, particularly in right field. He thought that gave him a better idea of how the wind was actually blowing.
But he hit high fly ball home runs. I hit line drives. So I was always the opposite of the wind.
Full count now to Reyes.
The wind usually blows foul pole to foul pole here, and the low winds come and catch the stay at the upper deck and come back and swirl back around. So I always hit to the opposite of what the flags were blowing.
Payoff pitch. Low, ball 4, and Reyes works out a walk.
And you saw Jamie Wright's expression right there after he threw that pitch. And here it is, a 3-2 pitch, and you don't want to walk Reyes. So watch his reaction. Oh, he is upset, and rightly so.
Well, it sets up a lot of possibilities now. Most notably, well, the first one that would come to mind now simply is the bunt here from Loduca. But there are just so many options because of Loduca's patience and Reyes' speed for Willie Randolph. So let's see how they play it. You'd figure bunt. Nope. No inclination to bunt at all, and he takes the fastball low. Well, remember what happened earlier in the week when the Mets came back to win a game from the Diamondbacks, when we figured Loduca was in a bunting situation. Wound up with a base hit. Throw strike 1 often enough like he has tonight. He'll pitch into the 8th inning. And Reyes back. First game of the series was Monday night against Arizona. And with Andy Chavez at second, Reyes drove him in with a hit that tied the game. And in this spot, Loduca swung away, as he does here, and fouls it off. And it's 1-1. And Loduca ripped a single down the left field line that got Reyes to third.
This is such a tough, hard sinker down and in. You can see just ties up Loduca here and hit off the top of his knee.
Uncomfortable for everyone, and Loduca no different.
Well, the wind's picked up.
Just what we need to punctuate the rain. Infield is a double play depth. Reyes measures his lead, and he measured correctly. Again, you can do so much with this combination because Loduca is comfortable hitting with 2 strikes.
He's a good hit and run guy.
Yep. So a lot of options.
And he's not afraid. He's not afraid to go behind the count taking pitches for Reyes.
Green leaning away. Reyes runs. They guessed right. The Giants did. Green's throw is high, and Reyes has the base. Huge steal for Reyes against the pitch out.
Well, the pitch out for sure. The good pitch to throw. And a perfect throw wouldn't have gotten him. Let's see what kind of. He's so explosive. I don't think a perfect throw would have got him, Howie.
So now Reyes is the go-ahead run in scoring position with nobody out.
Do you bunt here?
Well, he didn't bunt him from first, but by bunting him here, you would give the Mets an opportunity to score a run on an out and undoubtedly force the Giants to move the infield in.
And the Mets do have Wagner up in that bullpen. He's been up since the beginning of this inning. He's good to go.
Yeah, regardless of whether the Mets take the lead or not, you would think. So the 2-1 to LaDuca. Now he squares and bunts it foul. So it's 2-2, but again, not a terrible situation for a guy who is a very good 2-strike hitter. LaDuca had an RBI single with 2 strikes on a 1-2 pitch in the 3rd inning.
Well, as a hitter right here in this critical part of the game, late, we're in the bottom of the 8th, and you're 2-2. It's not like you're 0-2, but still you've got to shorten up and really bear down and concentrate on, if you don't drive him in, hit to the right side of the infield.
2-2 pitch in the air. That will not advance the runner. Reyes will tag and draw the throw from Wynn. So Jose still at second with 1 out. And now here's the AOL game summary. Vizcaino homered in the 3rd. Mets got 2 back in the bottom half. Wynn tied it in the 6th. And that's where we are. Glavine's out of the game, and Jamie Wright's next pitch will be his 100th, and it will be delivered to Carlos Delgado. And you want a better high-speed internet, you belong at AOL. Well, Delgado 0 for 3. The slump is now 3 for his last 39. But most base hits to the outfield would be guaranteed to get Reyes in here.
And they are keeping Reyes close.
Pulled right to Durham. And again, Delgado hits into the shift. And Reyes now 90 feet away, but there are 2 men out. Delgado 0 for 4 in this game. Brian Wilson, the right-hander, and Steve Klein, the left-hander, working through the mist and the rain in the Giant bullpen. And Jamie Wright looks to be done for the night. Felipe Alou jogging out to the mound. And we'll see what he does here.
I don't think he's going to pull him. I think he's just going to give him a little bit of rest, get a breather, and show confidence in him. And say, you know, you're the man. And that looks like what Alou has decided to do. He's pitched a fine ball game.
Yep, he's in agreement with whatever Alou told him. And so David Wright, who is 1 for 3 in this game, will try and break the tie.
If he loses Wright, say via the walk where the run doesn't score and the inning continues, Klein will definitely be in the face. Floyd.
David Wright, who's had so many big hits, and Jose Reyes wearing the Shea Stadium infield, representing the go-ahead run at 3rd. And these fans who have been hardy through a very long day see Wright foul the first pitch back, 0-1.
Well, Wright won right after. So many rights here. Went right after him. Up and in fastball. Beat him. Little tardy.
David ready. Here's the 0-1. And the sinker missed inside.
Well, that's a good eye by David right there. That was a pitch that starts out as a strike and sinks just off the strike zone. That is good discipline, good eye at the plate. He's such a, for a young hitter, so disciplined and such a tough out in the clutch.
The 1-1 off the inside corner.
Well, the book on David has got to be in. When you've got a pitcher like Wright out there that has a hard sinker, you know, you're doing David a favor throwing a breaking ball or a pitch away.
The 2-1 pitch to Wright. Breaking ball. And it's fouled into the seats. So the count even. And you know, Jamie Wright's just airing it all out here now.
Well, he throws the curveball here. Look at that great shot. The hand off the side. Look at the tumbling rotation. And that was a pitch for David to hit, and he knew it. And he was right on it and had a good cut, just got under it.
So it'll be a 2-2 pitch. It's on the way. And it's popped up. It should end the inning. Necro, plenty of room at first. And the Mets leave the go-ahead run at third. They had Reyes in scoring position with nobody out and couldn't bring him around. Game 2 of this doubleheader at Shea is all even as we go to the ninth.
Steve Berthiaume with your ChevyOffers.com baseball night in New York update. The Phillies in L.A. today. Bottom 4, Nomar Garcia-Parra doubles in Jose Cruz Jr. Dodgers all over the Phils, 8-2 the final. Phillies with just 2 hits today. Back to Howie and Keith.
All right, Steve. So the Mets in position, if they can win this game, to gain some ground not only on the Phillies but potentially on Atlanta as well, although the Braves are coming back trailing Arizona 10-7 at the bottom of the 7th in Atlanta. You know, New Yorkers love a good debate, and Daily News Live is the place to find one. Gather around the table for fast-paced New York sports talk. Daily News Live, weekdays at 5 p.m. on Sportsnet New York. Well, Aaron Heilman will start his second inning in increasingly inclement conditions. Not only is that mist and rain blowing around, but it's blowing hard. And it's blowing straight in, too. So it's become even more uncomfortable now than it was for some of the fans who were sitting out through that 2.5-hour rain delay before the start of the first game. That's how long a day it's been today. Game 1 was scheduled to start about 1:25. It started about 2.5 hours later. That one went 3 hours and 12 minutes with the Giants winning 6-4. And this one is tied 2-2 as we go to the 9th inning. And Todd Green, the Giants catcher, facing Heilman. And that's off the outside corner, 1-0.
Atlanta's made a little run at Arizona in that second game. It's 10-7. Arizona now in the bottom of the 7th in Atlanta.
Here's the 1-0. And Heilman had him way out in front.
See that right there. That was an 8-2 ball game for a while. The Braves are mounting a comeback here.
That's the second end of a day-nighter.
I thought they were going to play a day-nighter here. It wouldn't have mattered anyway with the rain.
Deep to left field. Floyd going back down the line, but the wind is bringing it back. And the Mets get a break. That ball was hit very well. And the wind presented it to Cliff Floyd, who knows that Aaron Heilman might have gotten away with one.
Oh, there's Cliff right on it. Even practically blew it foul, too. So the elements are coming into play here.
Hey, Mets fans, you always traveling and missing games? Well, watch Mets games live online whenever you're away from New York, exclusively from MLB.tv. Mets.com has more live games than anyone else. Mets.com, where baseball's always on. Aaron Heilman throws a strike to Ray Durham, 0-1. Rough game for Durham, couple of strikeouts along with that double play grounder. Now they 0-1. And 1-1 to Durham. Heilman starting his second inning. He was perfect in the 8th. Last pitched on Monday, so he's strong. And the 1-1. Again, he gets out in front. And the count 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, you see the change right there, the circle change. Look at the side spin on it. And that gives it the sinking action.
So the 1-2 pitch, and that's lifted foul down the line. Floyd over, but that ball is far beyond his reach. And Billy Wagner had been throwing at least in case the Mets took the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. But of course, Willie at times has used Wagner in tie games at home because he won't get a save situation now with the game tied in the 9th inning. But again, Aaron Heilman pitching well, and Steve Klein getting ready to face Floyd when we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. A 2-2 game, and Heilman trying to keep it there, give the Mets a chance in the bottom half. It'll be a 1-2 pitch. It's fouled off to the left. Jamie Wright did some job. 8 innings, 5-hit ball, allowing 2 runs. A couple of 2-out hits in the 3rd inning, giving the Mets their runs. That'll be a 1-2 to Durham. Popped him up. Reyes will fight the rain and the wind, and so will Floyd. And Cliff wins that battle. Pointing out his adversary to Jose Reyes. Geico Sports Night, the news and information source for all New York area sports fans. Geico Sports Night covers the stories that New York sports fans care about. 6 p.m., 10 p.m., and 1 a.m. every night only on Sportsnet New York. So 2 away. And now Pedro Feliz, 1 out of 3. Rip foul. So no balls and 1 strike. Mets scheduled to send up Floyd, Woodward, and Matsui in the bottom half of the 9th inning. And the wind is whipping straight in right now. Up the middle, and Feliz has his 2nd hit. 2-out hit for Pedro Feliz, and Lance Niekro will be next.
First baseman.
Well, the base hit off a rare breaking ball from Heilman. There's Barry Bonds, got the second game off. And there's a side ball. His fingers on the side of the ball. There's the spin, the circle. Nice hitting by Feliz. I love that tight camera and slow motion on that. It's a wonderful shot.
Lance Niekro takes a fastball. Strike 1.
How did you know? He didn't call it yet.
No.
He's so slow calling it. You called it before he did.
Just trying to help this thing along any way we can. Give Tim McClellan a subtle little nudge. Shallow center. Chavez along with Woodward. And it's Chavez through the raindrops. So Heilman does his job. No runs, 1 hit. And now the Mets will try and win it. Floyd, Woodward, and Matsui. Bottom of the 9th coming up.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets.
Left-hander Steve Kline worked perfectly in the opener, retiring all 4 batters that he faced, and now he will come on to face Cliff Floyd, Chris Woodward, and Kaz Matsui. You're in the bottom half of the 9th inning with the Mets looking for another one of those dramatic last at-bat wins. Billy Wagner getting loose. Cliff Floyd would like to find a way to start these fans moving towards the exits. Cliff singled in the 4th inning, also flied to right and struck out. And Kline has handled Floyd very, very well over their careers. In the air, right field. Playable for Wynn. And the Wynn taking it, but Randy Wynn stayed with it. 1 away. Chris Woodward will be next. New York Mets baseball on Sportsnet New York is brought to you by AirCanada.com. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. Visit Geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Aflac, ask about it at work. And by Jeep. The all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command. Woodward 0 for 3. Makes the fastball for a strike. A 2-2 game here in the last of the 9th. Giants about hit the Mets 8-5, but Woodward makes a bid only to see it hook foul. And the count 0-2. Woodward back to the bat rack. Tough, I would think, Keith, for Woodward to have any kind of timing and feel when he's played as infrequently as he has.
It's the toughest job in the game, being a bench player, and Woodward had much more of a larger role last year. And has been basically, as you said, the 24th, 25th man on the roster here.
Now the 0-2, and he gets under it. The first baseman Necro, as well as the catcher Green, find it beyond their reach. As it turns out, Matsui got hurt early, and Woodward figured he'd play quite a bit there, but Anderson Hernandez wound up winning the starting job at second base, and so Woodward didn't get as much time as he might have. And then as Jose Valentin emerged just over the last few weeks, because Valentin's a switch hitter, that gives Willie more flexibility in terms of using him in a starting role. Andy Chavez, a left-hand batter, a very dependable defensive player, has hit, and that's cut into Woody's time.
Well, I think that Woodward, too, defensively this year at second base has made a few errors that has, I think, maybe made Willie a little less, more cautious as far as giving him more playing time.
Now the 1-2. Protecting away. It's still a ball and 2 strikes. The paid crowd was 45,578. The number of tickets sold for this afternoon's game. Again, this is the second game of an unscheduled doubleheader necessitated by last night's rainout. And the 1-2 to Woodward is a little bit low. So 2-2. If you joined up late today, the Giants won the opener 6-4 in a game that didn't start till a little after 4. And that's why we're still playing here at 10 o'clock. So Klein ready, and Woodward out in front. Woodward having a tough at bat here with Steve Klein. That's the newest looking hat we've ever seen on Steve Klein.
You can't see anything because
of the rain, right?
It's raining. It's a black hat.
It's still, but it still gets waterlogged and stuff. 2-2 pitch lifted in the air to center. Easy play for Finley. And that's the second out. I mean, even some of the darker hats get water on it. He puts it through the mill, and you've seen some of the caps he's worn over the course of his career. It looks like it's been through a grinder. But now with 2 out, Kaz Matsui will try and get something done here and snap out of a 4-for-44 drought. And 2 very huge slumps right now, Matsui and Carlos Delgado. And Matsui batting from the right side here against Klein. 0-1. Right-hand batter, Kaz is just 3 for 23. Holds that one to Vizcaino. And this game is headed to extra innings. 0 across in the ninth for New York. And on we play here in game 2 of a doubleheader. 10th inning of a 2-2 tie coming up. Well, we mentioned before that Willie Randolph was not at all squeamish about giving the ball to Billy Wagner in the tie game at home. There's no save situation. He gave Aaron Heilman a second inning, and so now Wagner will get his 25th game of the year. This one 2-2 going to the 10th inning.
Well, I think that Wagner has been used in tie games because there's been so many tie games and extra innings.
It's been rather a regularity for the Mets, who are going to extra innings for the 9th time. And Wagner will face Jose Vizcaino, and then we'll see. The pitcher spot is due off next. Nobody's on deck yet. And Vizcaino takes the pitch for a strike. 0-1. Of course, there's always the threat of Barry Bonds. We don't see him within view right now. He had a bat in his hands earlier in the game. 0-2 to Vizcaino. But there's Barry, no batting helmet on. Vizcaino behind 0-2. Wagner delivers. Tied him up. Did he go around? Yep. He is rung up by the first base umpire, Marty Foster. The slider gets him.
The slider, which Wagner has been pitching more, throwing more, and more umpires today. What's he making that gesture for?
getting some abuse, I'm sure.
It's just, you know, take a chill pill.
Well, the pitcher's spot is due up. Now that's Randy Wynn. He's not the next hitter. And Barry Bonds is going over to the bat rack. And Barry Bonds will be the pinch hitter against Billy Wagner. It takes a while for Barry to get ready. Strap on the oversized elbow protection. And Bonds, who was roundly booed, as you would expect, by a somewhat bigger crowd earlier today, will get reacquainted with Billy Wagner. They last met in April.
And that was a fastball belt high and out over the plate. And Wagner was throwing hard that day, Howie, and I tip my hat to Barry on that one.
That was with 2 outs in the 9th inning to tie it. And now Wagner misses outside and low, 1 ball and no strikes. Billy has always handled Bonds well in the past, save for that last home run. 2 balls and no strikes here on the slider. Bonds is, as you see, just 3 for 13, including that home run against Billy. The 2-0. Fastball away. 98 on that heater.
Wagner a little upset with himself here. 3-0 on Bonds. You got Omar Vizcaino on the bench. The speedy Omar Vizcaino will probably pinch run for Barry.
And the 3-0 taken at the knees for a strike. Wagner's demeanor certainly indicated that he's trying to get Bonds here. Beat him with a fastball there. 99 miles an hour.
Well, this is where you got to pitch Barry if you've got a good fastball. He's lost that little bit. Just pound him inside and upstairs.
Wagner wants to know what the delay is. McClellan's ready to go to work, and now so's Billy. Payoff pitch to the right side. Matsui on the grass. And they get Bonds 2 away. Wagner climbs out after being in a 3-0 hole. Well, they sold 45,000 tickets, but far fewer than that remain through the inclement weather here at Shea. And so the greeting for Bonds today, Keith, has really been almost anticlimactic, you know?
It has been. And there's some, when there's so few people as this in the ballpark, you hear everybody.
Randy Wynn on the slider, 1-0. Well, everybody was wondering last night, how would Barry Bonds be received? Well, we all know how he was going to be received from the beginning. The only hope was that nobody would do anything outrageous, like throw things or do anything to endanger anyone's safety. And obviously nobody got a look at him last night because there was no BP before the rainout. Wynn goes around there. It's 1-1. And the first anybody saw of Bonds on the field today, Keith, before the first game was not long before they finally got it going, and Bonds came out to do a little stretching, accompanied by a couple of Giants training personnel or personal bodyguards for all we know. And they booed him, and that was it. Fastball missed inside to Win, 2-1. There was one banner which was really just a copy of what they showed in Philadelphia when he played there a couple of weeks ago, about how Babe did it on beer and hot dogs. And the 2-1 to Win, lifted to left. Floyd started in and now puts it away. Wagner works a 1-2-3 10th inning. So in the middle of the 10th here in game 2, Bonds is done. The Mets are not. Billy Wagner's spot is due up second, and Duaner Sanchez will get up in the bullpen, so Billy will come out after 1 inning in all likelihood. And Jeremy Accardo, this is an interesting kid, Keith, a hard-throwing right-hander who the Giants think may be their closer of the future. Armando Benitez is the closer for now, and both Accardo and Benitez worked in game 1. Accardo just faced 2 batters, Wright and Floyd, and got them both. And If this game should move to an 11th inning, then Doubleheader Sanchez, in all likelihood, would get the baseball.
Or nothing would please the Mets more than Billy Wagner getting his 4th win of the season. Wagner, of course, is 3-0 on the year. Day game tomorrow.
And Beltran, who pinch hit in the opener, drew a walk and stayed in the game, will come out on deck as the hitter for Wagner. First, Chavez. Chavez with a lot of speed, a bunt possibility, pulls it back but takes the strike. 0-1. You see Pedro Feliz, the third baseman. He's starting out right about there, and it'll creep up even closer.
And first base over there on the first base side playing in also. That's Lance Negro.
Vizcaino against the speed of Chavez, just gets it there. 1 away.
Well, Vizcaino knows he has to hurry with the speedy Chavez, and he just gets him by a step. Ball was not hit that hard. He had to charge it. And Carlos Beltran, another pinch hit.
Well, there's a wind pretty much blowing straight in right now, which is going to make getting a ball out of here problematic. But Beltran's got the power to hit through the wind. Pinch hit in the opener, and he takes a high fastball here from Jeremy Accardo. 1-0. Carlos on the year hitting at .270 with 14 homers and 37 runs batted in. Giants will stay deep in the outfield and no doubles. Question is, how can Beltran run? How well? That's taken low. 2-0. Fouled the ball off his knee the other night. And right now he's the winning run at home plate. Last of the 10th inning. Giants won the opener. 2-1.
Well, that was ball 3 right there. I think Carlos was looking for something to end this ball game with a 2-0 count. Just got a little over anxious.
Jose Reyes on deck. 2-2.
Nope, threw that fastball by him. Here's the point. As you see the fastball inside corner. Got to dial it up a notch to catch up to that one. 94 miles an hour.
That's what they like about Accardo. Now the 2-2. Got him. He went right after him and struck out Carlos Beltran. Another 94-mile-an-hour heater, and now they're 2 men away.
Well, that one had more of the plate. You see his fingers close together. No separation. This one had more of the plate, and he still beat Carlos.
Well, back to the top of the Mets order. The Mets have not had a base hit since Cliff Floyd singled in the 4th inning. Since then, the only base runners have been via walks, one of which was intentional. And Reyes with a big cut fouls it back. 0-1. Reyes drove in a run in the 3rd inning when the Mets took a 2-1 lead. He tied it with his hit, stole second, and then Loduca singled him home to make it 2-1. But Randy Wynn's home run in the 6th inning off of Glavine tied it, and that's where we are. Here's the 0-1. Way inside with a slider. Reyes can keep it going. That's Loduca who would be next.
And this is the last thing that Willie Randolph wanted, was an extra inning ball game where he's got to go into his bullpen. 2 with Heilman, and now Sanchez. If the Mets don't score, they got to go to Sanchez.
1-2 now as Reyes fouls it back. Willie used Feliciano, Bradford, and Oliver in the opener. Felipe Alou used 4 relief pitchers, and Doubleheader Sanchez getting set for the 11th, unless Reyes can figure something out. Now the 1-2. Line to left field, going to be a tough play for Ellison, and he gets to it in foul ground to end the inning. So the wind just flung that ball into foul territory, But Ellison made a nice play, and we move to the 11th inning, tied at 2. Doubleheader Sanchez takes over the pitching for the Mets as we head to the 11th inning. For Sanchez, this will be his 27th appearance. And he has been very, very effective most nights out of that bullpen. But Willie Randolph now has used all 3 of his key late inning relievers. Heilman for 2, Wagner for 1, and now Sanchez. Warner pitched on Wednesday and went 3 innings, picking up the win as the Mets won in 13 innings over the Arizona Diamondbacks. So another extra inning game for the Mets. And for Sanchez in the 11th inning, it'll be Ellison, Finley, and Green. Barry Bonds now out of the game after pinch hitting and grounding out in the 10th inning. And Sanchez, the 4th Mets pitcher, goes to work. Ellison first ball hitting. Reyes charges. Tough play. And Delgado makes the pick. Good job by Delgado to stay with that low throw.
Well, nice play by Reyes. Has to hurry. The ball's up. The double pump. But nice pick by Delgado. Watch him double clutch here. Just couldn't quite get the transfer there when almost cost him. A nice pick by Delgado.
Is there anything that throws your timing off as the first baseman when you see the shortstop double clutch?
No, because you don't make any move until after you've seen the throw out of the hand of the infielder. The only time it will throw you off is at second base and a ball, a little chopper hit in front, and he's within real close to you, because then you have to commit early.
Here's Steve Finley, who takes a fastball for a strike, 0-1. So Delgado made the nice defensive play to help with the first out here in the 11th. Finley 1 out of 4 here in this nightcap. That's hit well to right field, but not nearly well enough to leave the yard. In fact, it sounded like he broke his bat.
He did.
So 2 away. Benitez, if the Giants go ahead, and if Felipe Alou is inclined to change pitchers, should we go to the bottom of the 11th inning tied, then that looks like Brian Wilson would be the choice. Jeremy Accardo had no problems with the Mets in the bottom of the 10th inning. And now Todd Green, the catcher. Green actually went to camp with the San Diego Padres and was expecting to be part of their roster until not long before spring training. Remember, the pitchers and catchers report first. Padres signed Mike Piazza. Swing and a miss. Nasty slider there by Sanchez, in the count 0-1.
Well, there's the breaking ball right here. Look at the slider rotation. Nice little circle. It's an up slider, but he got it away and he pulled off.
Breaking ball.
Hit him in the head.
Well, if you're going to get hit in the head, you might as well get hit with a curveball.
And I'm not laughing because it's just, you know, it's a curveball. Thank God it's a curve. Look out. That got him on the coconut. It's a glancing blow, thank goodness. Because oh, that's a catcher. You can't hurt those catchers.
Well, he appears to be just fine as he leads from first with 2 men out and Ray Durham the batter. Durham a switch hitter, batting from the left side. Way inside again. 1 ball and no strikes. It's the 3rd batter that Doubleheader Sanchez has hit this year. So Delgado will hold against him, of course, in this tie game. So the hole for the left-hand batter on the right side, but Sanchez misses upstairs, 2-0. After Durham, it's Pedro Feliz who has had 2 hits in this game. Sanchez just trying to keep this tied and give the Mets a chance in the bottom of the 10th. 2-0. Line the other way, foul. 2 balls and 1 strike. Concentration ever a problem? Like Delgado now. I mean, it's a late game. And he's played every inning so far this afternoon. Uncomfortable weather. Do you ever have to find little ways just to stay as focused as you need to be?
These are the games that you've got to kick it in the fanny. You know, you're tired. It's been a long day. You waited around. You're playing a doubleheader. And you just got to really kick it and not allow yourself to give in. And these are the tough games right here.
2-1 to Durham. Delgado steps in front of the runner, and Sanchez misses away. 3-1. That game in Atlanta is now at the top of the 9th inning. Arizona has now seen its lead whittled to 1 run over the Braves. It's 10-9 Diamondbacks. Arizona won the opener there. Phillies lost as well. Outside ball 4. And that will push the potential go-ahead run into scoring position. So after Sanchez got the first 2, he hit Green and walked Durham. And now Pedro Feliz will be the hitter. And Kevin Franzen, this is an interesting story, Keith. Kevin Franzen, you see him wearing number 19 there, will be the pinch runner for Durham. Or pardon me, he's at second running for the catcher Todd Green. Franzen's wearing Dave Righetti's number 19. Righetti, the Giants pitching coach, had worn number 19 throughout his tenure with the Giants, and that was the number he wore as a big league pitcher. There's a pretty poignant reason why Kevin wears it. Here's Feliz, and he takes inside 1-0. Righetti's dad and the Franzen family were long-standing friends, and Kevin's brother DJ idolized Dave Righetti. Well, Franzen's brother died not long ago. A 1-0 hit in the air to center field, should be an easy play. Chavez moving over. Chavez makes the catch to retire the side, so number 19 will not record a run. It was Righetti's idea to give him that number. Now it's the Mets' plan to try and end the game. That is Brian Wilson, not the genius behind the Beach Boys, but the San Francisco Giants pitcher, who will come on to relieve Jeremy Accardo here in the bottom half of the 11th inning.
And you see he's a recent call-up, only 4 games under his belt, 6 innings.
Wilson spent some time earlier this year on the disabled list. In fact, they brought him up in late April, and then right after they brought him up, he suffered a strained left oblique muscle. Came during his major league debut in Colorado. Rehabbed at Fresno, and now here he is. And he faces Paul Lo Duca to start the 11th and misses outside 1-0.
Well, he's not a hard thrower.
So Paul Lo Duca, the Mets catcher, and at home plate for the Giants after they had run for Todd Green is Eliezer Alfonso. He's the guy who hit the home run in the opener. And Lo Duca over short, base hit. And the Mets get the winning run on here in the bottom half of the 11th inning. And Keith, let me ask you this now. Carlos Delgado certainly is capable of hitting a ball through any wind, but he's 0 for 4 today. He's 3 for 40. You would almost never think of bunting Carlos Delgado, but under all of these circumstances, would you consider asking him to push Lo Duca up here?
Howie, if you were in uniform in the dugout and you were the manager and you put the bunt on for Mr. Delgado,
that's
you
why
get him very upset.
I understand, but again, slumping, 11th inning.
No, he swings the bat.
So there are no circumstances that you would ever ask a guy of Delgado's nature to bunt.
Delgado's abilities
to
bunt. No, he swings the bat.
Takes outside 1-0. After Delgado, you've got Wright and Floyd.
Well, you see the defense, and you've got all that area over to the left, and all those people over on the right.
Low 2-0. Of course, Delgado has hit into that shift so often. A couple of times today, right to Ray Durham.
Hey, when he was hot in April, they were shifting on him. So it's just nothing new. It's not the reason why he's in a slump.
2-0. Breaking ball, ball 3.
Now, if Delgado's red hot, there'll be some quick action down there in that Giant bullpen.
And there is already as Jonathan Sanchez starts twirling that left arm around.
You give him the take sign here because he's slumping.
He took it. It's 3-1.
If he was red hot and swinging the bat good, you'd give him a hit sign.
He is 0 for 8 today.
Slumps are miserable. Make you ornery.
I can tell. Low strike. That's a Tim McClellan strike.
Do you send LaDuca, who doesn't run well? That's a big if. That's a big if. And there's the fastball right there. Look at that, hands close together.
Well, how would this factor in, Keith? You got a cold catcher now who's just come off the bench after being there for the last few hours. Would that factor in whether or not you send him?
I don't think they're going to run him.
They don't.
Oh, good cut. See, when you're in a slump, I see a lot of advances and improvement here with Delgado. He's swinging up at the plate. He's just missing the pitches, and when he's on, he'd hit those pitches. At least he's not lunging.
That'll be a payoff pitch. LaDuca, short lead, not going. Hit in the air, up the gap, going back. Ellison at the wall, can't get it. LaDuca had a hold up though. He's just now getting into third. Delgado to second, and the Mets have second and third. Nobody out. Carlos Delgado ripped one the other way.
And that was right into the teeth of the wind, too. Fastball away, went with it. Look at that, he stayed in. And there's the grip. What a strange grip. I don't know what that grip was. Was it a changeup? I can't believe that kid would throw a changeup. And basically misplayed by Ellison out there. Playing a little bit too shallow. Duca does the right thing. And you see the reaction of Reyes. They're going to walk right. They've got to walk right here to set up the force.
And Millage will come on to run for LaDuca to get the faster wheels in there in case there's a fly ball opportunity to get the winning run home that way. So Lastings Millage will run for LaDuca. So the Giants move the infield in. Of course, they're going to walk David Wright, but the infield and the outfield will have to come in. And Brian Wilson goes about his business, and with Jonathan Sanchez, a left-hander, throwing in the bullpen, I would guess, Keith, that Felipe Alou will go and get him and make him pitch to Cliff Floyd.
Pitch to Cliff Floyd, and looking at Willie's bench. Now, if they get past Floyd with Woodward, you've got the only left-handed bat left on the bench is Jose Valentin. So with Franco on the right side and Castro, Willie is sitting pretty with bench. Veteran bench.
So the intentional walk complete. Felipe Alou out of the dugout. The sign to the bullpen, and Jonathan Sanchez, a 23-year-old who made his major league debut just 6 days ago, is going to inherit a king-size jam, as the Mets will have Floyd, Woodward, and Matsui due up with the bases loaded and nobody out, trying to win it in the 11th.
Hey, we're on a road trip to find out if everyone's getting what they want from Verizon. How is it switching from the dial-up to the DSL?
Oh, it's simple. It's easy.
What do you do for fun out here?
You're looking at it.
Do you have DSL from Verizon?
Yeah, I do.
Who installed it?
I did.
What do you like about Verizon?
We love how fast it is. Definitely the fastest thing that I've ever seen.
Switching to Verizon Online DSL is not only easy, it's as low as $17.99 a month.
That was cool. Kind of nice out here.
Phone, broadband, TV, Verizon.
Sportsnet New York and the New York Lottery are teaming up. Finally, something New York baseball fans can agree on. Play Subway Series, the new instant game from New York Lottery, with 12 chances to win up to $1 million. And even if you don't win, it doesn't mean the game is over. For a chance at seats in a Diamond View Suite at Shea, plus tickets to the 2007 Subway Series. Send your non-winning ticket with your name, address, and phone number to the address on the screen. For more information, visit nylottery.org. Then make sure to tune in to Nissan Postgame Live on June 30th and look for your name.
Well, there's a left-hander by the name of Jonathan Sanchez. Everybody in baseball, all the front offices, the scouting departments, they're getting ready for the draft right now. And everybody's so cognizant of who the top picks are going to be. What do you like about the first round or two? Well, here's a kid, Jonathan Sanchez, who was drafted in the 37th round just 2 years ago. on a major league roster for the first time, up from Double-A. And yet here he is. He made his major league debut last Sunday in Colorado. Tossed a perfect 7th inning, and now all he inherits is the winning run at third, with Delgado at second and David Wright on at first. But the only run that matters is Lasting's millage. He's at third, and now Cliff Floyd will hit.
Well, I stand corrected. Jose Valentin has already pinch hit in this game, and there's no one up in the Giant bullpen, so it's on this young man. So Willie's bench is basically just Julio Franco, because Ramon Castro has to come in to catch because LaDuca was pinch run for.
So Floyd with a lot of ways to win it, with the infield and outfield up. High for a ball. Cliff flied to right, singled to left, struck out looking, and flied to center. Millage, the pinch runner, the only run that matters. And Sanchez in his second big league appearance.
Always a good pitch hit right here.
But it's fouled back upstairs. So 1-1.
Another hard thrower. All these young arms. We see so much in the big leagues today, and there's a 3/4 delivery. Comes right in with a hard fastball in a very good spot.
Millage won't get too far off that bag at third. Casey's got a tag. 2-1.
Well, you got a young kid in this situation with the bases loaded. This is such a critical pitch right now. It's a hitter's count. If he misses, it goes 3-1, and he's really in trouble. So more apt to make a mistake trying to throw a strike, particularly a young pitcher.
Remember, the wind will benefit those outfielders. Millage with great speed at third, but that wind still blowing in. And that gives the outfielders a little extra room to play with, and they are up very close as is. Chris Woodward, if it goes any further, waits on deck, but Floyd's trying to end it right here. It'll be a 2-1 pitch to Floyd. Little looper and room with the infield fly on. So Vizcaino the catch, and that's the first out. And now the Giants have the luxury of trying for a double play on the infield.
Well, Cliff just got beat here. This ball's out over the plate. And he just got beat. Jammed on the label. You'll see where he hit it. Right on the label. And now it's up to Woodward, who is a good bunter. Infield in. Outfield in.
They can come home to initiate a double play if necessary on a ball hit on the ground. But Woodward trying to end it all. Low for a ball. So both times now Sanchez has fallen behind. He's actually behind Floyd 2-1. Now it's 1-0 to Woodward, who is 0 for 4 today. Two to 2, last of the 11th. A 1-0. Fouled back upstairs, a ball and a strike. 91-mile-an-hour fastball there from Jonathan Sanchez. This kid was dominant pitching in the Eastern League, Double-A level. 1.15 earned run average over 31 1/3 innings. Made some starts down there too. A 1-1 on Woodward. To right field, Millage will tag. The catch by Wynn. Here comes Millage. Here's the throw to the plate, the slide, put it in the books. The Mets win it in the 11th inning on a sacrifice fly by Chris Woodward. And the Mets have gained a split in the doubleheader. They win it 3-2 here in the nightcap. And a long, at times very wet and cold day at Shea has finally come to an end.
And give Willie Randolph credit there for pinch running, lasting millage for Paul LaDuca, and that was the difference. LaDuca obviously does not score on that fly ball, Howie. And here it is. Got jammed a little bit, looking to go the other way. Very shallow right field. Here comes the throw from Wynn. Very fine slide by Millage. Gets around him. And there's the call. And he didn't leave early. And he knows he has to slide wide. Very nice.
And LaDuca's as excited as anyone. So the Mets persevere. Another last at-bat win. Another extra inning win. And Chris Cotter is very, very familiar with that scenario. Right, Chris?
We've seen it all this year. We've also seen so many different Mets come through in the clutch. And, Chris, it was your turn tonight to do it. It seems like it's somebody new every night, doesn't it?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky that Lastings can run a little over there at third base. It wasn't the best piece of hitting, but, you know, it got the job done, and good thing we got a win out of that.
You know, this team is perseverance has been the word that has been tossed around the clubhouse all year long, and it seemed like, again, the case tonight. The rain, the cold, 2 games today, you know, a very long day. You guys never seem to give up.
No, I mean, that's something that we pride ourselves on, you know, like, you know, we're never out of the game. You know, whether we're 2 or 3 runs down, we come back, I don't know how many times this year, and that's just something that we're going to need to do to play well.
Frustration to ever creep in. I mean, you're coming up, you're 0 for 4, you haven't had a chance to really drive in a run all day long. You get that opportunity. Do you ever get frustrated in a game, maybe, especially because your playing time hasn't been as much as it was last year?
No, I just try to, you know, you try not to do too much, and obviously it's not the last time I'll go 0 for 4, you know, but good thing is we won, and, you know, it's a good win for us.
How important of a win was it so you don't lose 2 in one day, just in terms of, you know, getting that mindset before going out on this West Coast trip?
Exactly, especially, you know, we felt like we could have won, you know, we could have won both games, and it's tough when you lose the first one and then you battle a game like that. You know, if we'd have lost that game, you know, in like 11th or 12th, that's a tough way to lose too.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Okay, back upstairs, Howie.
All right, Chris, so the Mets wind up getting a split in this doubleheader. Once again, our final score, the Mets 3, the Giants 2. Join us for our next broadcast tomorrow at 1 p.m. on the WB11 as the Mets conclude their series against the San Francisco Giants. Coming up next, Nissan Postgame Live, but first, let's go to Kevin Choi in our Sportsnet New York studios. He's standing by with a look at what's coming up on Sports Night as the Mets, after losing the opener here at Shea 6-4, have defeated the Giants 3-2 in 11 innings in the nightcap. The win goes to DeWander Sanchez. Brian Wilson takes the loss. And again, hope to see you tomorrow on the WB11 at 1 p.m. with the rubber game of this 3-game series. For Gary Cohen and Keith Hernandez, I'm Howie Rose. Have a good night.